Out is a half-hour multi-part series focusing on the LGBTQ community in Brandon, Manitoba, funded by the Community Radio Fund of Canada. This series will share the difficulties LGBTQ members have faced, the achievements and strides they have made, as well as the support received from the community. We hope the story shared will help those uncomfortable with any LGBTQ lives understand the opposite point of view and become more sensitive to the struggles they face, as well as provide support and information for any LGBTQ members in the area.
Hi, my name is Jan Eck, and I am very proud to help bring to you Out, a new series highlighting the lives of LGBT2SQ citizens in Brandon, Manitoba. In this episode, we continue a two-part series focusing on some of the services available to LGBT2SQ students at Brandon's post-secondary institutions, Brandon University and Assiniboine Community College. In this second part, we will begin by continuing our interview with BU LGBTQ Collective Coordinator Stefan Irvin, and in just a little bit, Out host Dakota Bickelmeyer talks with Annalisa Parkinson, President of ACC Student Association, about events and services for LGBT2SQ students at Assiniboine Community College. Okay, so we began our interview with Stefan talking generally about the events and activities that the collective organizes. In this part, we will begin to get into all the events planned for this year's Queerientation orientation events, specifically catered to new LGBTQ students at BU, but always welcome to the Brandon community generally.
I mean, it's really, really sad that, even in today's society, that we're judging people on what they choose to believe. And when we're judging people on their beliefs, it's largely coming from, never even of reading passages from those holy texts. So how do you know truthfully what that religion says, other than a meme on Facebook or a meme on Twitter giving you these terrible, terrible views and ideas of what it means? And you don't just see that with, people's Islamophobia. You see that in all sorts of different types of racism and attitudes towards marginalized identities. Even things like Black Lives Matter and their involvement with Toronto Pride. People's attitudes from that just, again, come from ignorance, I think.
Rape culture on campus. Is there anything you would like to say about that?
Yeah, it was huge last year. One of the bigger things I've ever got myself into, and I still look back on it not really realizing, how my involvement on campus got me involved in that. But it was something that was really, really special to be a part of, even as unfortunate of events as it was. I'm really happy with the outcomes thus far. Brandon University did some really terrible things, but once they were called out, they acknowledged what they did do wrong, and they worked tirelessly to enact a policy that was student-focused, student-put together, student-led, but also survivor-centered. So, this policy wasn't created from a place trying to save face. It came from a place of really trying to be there for the person that did experience some sort of assault on campus, or even it goes as far to help them if they've experienced assault in their life as well. And it put measures into ensuring that we're properly reporting the current culture and environment of sexual assault. And yeah, it's been really, really great. And I'm only excited to see what's going to come of this new policy and sexual prevention officer that was hired here on campus.
Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of what I've been learning about the advocacy of these issues have been occurring on Facebook, and I've been following the BU LGBTQ Collective on Facebook since it's had its page started. How important is a Facebook presence?
It's one of those things that are really hard. You can have a really good argument that Facebook protests or, the social media warrior, that they're not important, and that, for grassroots organizations, social media campaigns aren't, really beneficial. But I think when you're talking, really small grassroots levels, like places like Brandon, Facebook allows us to grow a small sense of community. You have a lot of people that interact with the Westman LGBT community Facebook page. And for them, that might be all of the queer community that they feel, or right now we're able to experience. So when they see, those conversations that we try to lead and push on Facebook, I do feel that it's helping to change, even in the smallest way here in Brandon. So for us right now in our society, in our community of Westman, I think Facebook and social media does have a place. And largely, talking about the sexual assault scandal here at BU last year, that was led because of Facebook. Without that initial post on Facebook, we wouldn't have been able to distribute it as widely as we were able to. So for us, yeah, I would say it is important.
Mm-hmm. It's what we're doing today. Social media is paramount.
Yeah, a definite way of the future, and how we're touching base with kind of some of the younger generation, so totally.
I would like to talk about the few partnerships and sponsorships we've touched base base on those, but I would just want to make sure that we've covered all the bases.
Yeah, totally. So one of the things that kind of all of the different queer organizations in Brandon are starting to realize is that we need to really make sure that we're not competing for each other's target audience, or that we're not creating events that are exhausting the community. We really need to start focusing on those community partnerships, working together, making sure that we're complementing each other and trying to more or less shuttle, what audience we're interacting with to each other's events to really start growing that community. So through events like Queer Orientation, we're focusing, on those local community businesses like the Double Decker, like Smitten. This year, I'm sure we could hopefully have places like the Lady of the Lake and different restaurants be involved in some fashion. That doesn't mean these businesses need to give in a large way, but they need to give in a way that shows us that yes, they are here for queer people. Changing things like bathrooms or change rooms in their businesses to gender neutrals. Those are things that local businesses have an easier time accomplishing because they're mom pa businesses. They're ran by people rather than corporations, and those changes don't go unnoticed. So we really want to make sure that we keep working with businesses and growing the sponsors that we have for all of our events to really highlight the organizations and businesses in Brandon that it's okay to be you in, and hopefully that'll change the wider culture in Westman.
Mm-hmm. The Cirque and Brandon Pride, obviously, huge resources to have.
It's really good to be able to, compare notes with what they've done in the past. Cirque and Brandon Pride have always been the constant. Year to year, they've really been pushing forward. They've been breaking boundaries themselves, trying to start more focusing on events outside of Brandon Pride, but also events through the whole year. So they've been able to share with us, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what they have been dreaming up of but haven't necessarily been able to accomplish. So kind of together, it's just everyone pooling together their resources, their success, and hopefully we can just continue to work together and continue to build the community.
Outside of those LGBTQ resources, there's campus resources as well. And when you work with ACC, is that the students' organization or ACC?
Yeah, ACC, right now we're with these queer events, we're partnered with the ACC Student Association.
Okay.
But in saying that, ACC as an institution responds well. There they had lots of faculty and senior administration come out to our queer event last year. You could tell that, they might have been a little bit out of their comfort zone, but they were there showing their support actively, whereas BU's administration, their presence definitely was, or the lack of presence, was definitely noticed.
Wow.
So this year, to combat that, we're going to officially invite senior administration to, explicitly request their presence, to really start to show face to the queer events and queer programming and queer campaigns that they're running and that are great on campus. But, to a certain extent, you can see that it's just a rainbow washing. So we want to hold them accountable this year. We have an interesting relationship with Busu. Through the whole time of the collective, it's been kind of a touch and go relationship. We have our moments where it's really, really great, and we have our moments where we do feel, different nuances, I could say, of queer phobia. They're not always intentional, I would say, or coming from a malicious spot, but it's just the reality that sometimes we don't feel our events or our presence on campus is always been, welcome with open arms, but it's something that we're working on, and this year it does seem to be going a lot better. We've had some, open and frank conversations with the executive where we've been able to work out some issues and, talk about how we could work on this relationship. So I would say right now we're really excited to see where this year will take us, because I think it's now time that, both organizations kind of put their money where their mouth is. So we'll see where this year takes us. One thing that doesn't get talked a lot about in Brandon is the amazing high school GSAs. At each individual high school, they have their own GSA that meets on a regular basis.
Does every high school have one?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
And one thing that I thought was absolutely amazing was that they try to get together every couple of months, at the very least, where they'll have a community GSA. So every high school GSA, they'll ship students to one local school. So then instead of just having kind of your 10 or 20 students from your local high school, you've now got like 60 or 70 students from every high school in Brandon. And it just kind of creates that larger sense of community that, it's not just you. There's a whole bunch of students experiencing and going through, very similar things as you. And that was a really, really great initiative that I just recently learned of, and something too that the collective hopes to start working with. One of the events this year that we're doing with our queer orientation that's new is a drag university. So it's going to be a workshop on drag. So people can either come and just learn the art and the makeup skills behind it, or they can even just come and just experience and try that out, because that's not a space right now in Westman that we have. So through Drag University, that was inspired by a local high school youth who really loves the art of and culture behind drag, and they're very actively involved in, you know, experiencing that and experimenting with that. And they tried to come to an event last year so they could meet the drag queen that we brought. You know, it really broke my heart when I saw that there was this high school youth that wanted so desperately to be involved in the queer programming that we were running, but, you know, our event fell short for them and they weren't able to experience that. So coming into our second annual queer orientation, we wanted to make sure that there were events that were for everybody of all ages, so that, you know, they can experience these events and experience, you know, the larger culture that bigger centers have to offer when we bring them to Brandon. So we're really excited about that this year.
Okay, excellent. And I'm glad you directed the conversation into this year's queer orientation. So that I'm looking at a poster right now, and it looks so awesome. Let's start with September 9th.
Yeah, so starting on September 9th, we're doing the actual first ever Pride events in a national park. So Riding Mountain National Park, or Wasagaming town site, is doing the first ever week-long Pride event. We're going up on September 9th, kind of on their grand finale day. We're going to bus up students with Busu as well as Cirque, so making sure that community members can get out as well. And there's just different events. So there's going to be a family dance happening from 1 till 4 p.m. in the afternoon, different community organizations, rural GSAs, some really great different organizations are going to be out there putting on events. And we're also going to finish that night off with a social, but that's outside of queer orientation and something that's happening at Riding Mountain on September 9th as well.
That's okay to promote that.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Perfect. I don't think I'll have anyone to speak to that, so great. Yeah.
And then moving on to the kind of starting on the Monday, we have queer trivia. We're partnering with Double Decker. They're giving us their space. Typically, the Double Decker trivias are held on their second floor, but it's really important to us that our events are accessible. So for September 11th's Queer Trivia, we're going to move Double Decker's trivia down to the main floor so that it'll be open to anybody of all abilities, and we'll have gender-neutral washrooms for that evening as well. So we're really excited for that, and that'll be hosted by Kate and Aaron. On September 12th, we're kind of having a more low-key day. They're doing a student group day down in the mingling area. So we're going to set up a table, just kind of putting out the different resources and events that we have planned for the year, and just kind of letting folks know that they can get involved in any way, shape, or form that they want to, and that the collective is really come and go, commit as much time as you want. On September 13th, we're still kind of working out what this event is going to look like. It's going to be kind of focused on sex ed, kind of the stuff they don't cover in high school, but we don't know what fashion that's going to be in. If it's going to be kind of formal, sit down in a classroom somewhere, talk about it so it's more intimate, or if maybe it would be better received by, you know, maybe just setting up a booth in an accessible area where people can come and grab information. So more to come on that.
So, okay, if you want more information, we're going to carry on, of course, but if you want any more information, just make sure you're on the BU LGBTQ Facebook page for updates to this information. Thank you. Carry on.
Yeah. We also have our website too.
Okay.
So it's just, again, bulgbttq.com. And our events are updated on there as well, which is kind of a new push this year for our website. But carrying on, we have September 14th. Which we're going to be most likely, I think I could say, partnering with Smitten. We're just waiting on that official sponsorship, but I talked to them yesterday and it sounds like they want to get involved. But doing dildo races.
What's that?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting event. It's kind of a subtle way that we can kind of talk about safer sex. It opens up and breaks that ice. But it's a relay race that you use dildos. So there's a racetrack that everyone kind of picks out what dildo they look like is going to really speed down that track. You turn it on at one end, let them all go at once, and they literally just buzz their way down the track. And we're going to have, you know, different prizes, and that'll be done in the courtyard out, weather permitting, during a barbecue that Busu's putting on. And that evening is, we're really excited about the Drag University. So for that, we're partnering with Cirque. as well as Brandon University as the institution, to put on a workshop that people will be able to just to come, show up. They can interact with it as much as they want. They can just learn the makeup skills. They can develop their drag look further if they want. They can even just simply, have that experience of putting a wig on and seeing what that feels like. And it's going to be led by the drag queen, who we can almost say who's coming, but not just quite. But it will be led by a RuPaul drag queen. So just to bring in such talent. And for anyone that really kind of follows drag culture, RuPaul's kind of the hierarchy per se, the kind of top dog of competition. So to bring in that talent and that expertise and those role models to put on these events is really exciting. And then lastly, on September 15th, just like last year, we're putting on our Be Queer Social. So it's going to start with a drag bingo, which is your Bud, Spud, and Steak dinner. So it's all your traditional bingo, your traditional Bud, Spud, and Steak dinner. But what's not so traditional is your drag bingo callers, who will do some performances through the night. And that'll roll right into our Be Queer Social, which will feature the RuPaul Drag Queen Drag Race performances that'll headline the night as well.
And that's everything?
Oh, I almost forgot. We have one last event as well for, folks that may be going to a social, maybe isn't their thing. We are doing Gaming with Booga, which is the Brandon University Gaming Association. And they do all of your different electronic video games, but also your board games as well. So they're just going to have some space where folks can come and play board games. We did it last year as well, and it was really well received. So we're excited to pair again.
Wow, what a schedule of events. You are really next leveling here, if I can say that. These are quality events, bringing in big names to established venues at a level that we really haven't seen happen in Brandon. So there's so much kudos to send your way. You've got great skills here. And really, I have to say this again, at this moment, you are an army of one. And that must be both lonely and difficult to achieve your events. I'm thinking that your greatest challenge must be in motivating others to join and help with the collective.
You couldn't have said that any better. There's lots of people that want these events, but, there's right now, especially speaking in terms of the collective, there's a lack of folks that want to maybe do the groundwork and the planning. I think a lot of it maybe just comes from not knowing what that commitment looks like, but it's so informal. Even myself, I do it largely just kind of in my free time between work, and by myself I've been able to do quite well, partnering with other organizations when I need to and I feel it's just too much. But this year we're really going to focus on trying to establish a few volunteers that, okay, maybe you don't want to plan per se, but maybe you want to help on those events. So we want to have, slowly start trying to get folks involved. But yeah, that's kind of our focus this year is really trying to expand those numbers.
How does one find out about collective events and organizing, and how might one join to volunteer?
You can find us on Facebook, just Facebook BU LGBTQ Collective, and it will pop up. You can also find us on our website as well, www.bulgbttq.com. And lastly, if you just want something a little maybe more incognito, you can email at us at lgbtcollective@boostu.ca.
Well, I just want to take this last minute to thank you very much, Stefan Urban, and best of luck with Queer Orientation this 2017.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Stefan Urban, coordinator of the BU LGBTQ Collective at Brandon University. We now have out host Dakota Bickelmeyer presenting his interview with Annalisa Parkinson, president of the ACC Student Association.
Thank you, Jan. I had a wonderful opportunity to speak with Annalisa Parkinson, a second-year student and the president of the Assiniboine Community College Student Association. We met up at the Student Association's office at ACC's Victoria campus, which also doubles as a safe space for students at the college. Alongside her colleagues, she works with students and staff at ACC to ensure that the students have a voice in the college. The Student Association helps with providing events for students and staff at ACC. She speaks with me about what steps that the Student Association is taking towards bettering the college environment for LGBTQ students at the college. Can you tell us about who you are, what you do here at ACC, your background as a student and with the Student Association?
Okay, well, my name is Annalisa Parkinson, and I'm the president of the Assiniboine Community College Students Association. I am currently a second-year student in the Business Administration program here. I'm originally from Jamaica, so I'm excited to actually be here at the college and be the voice of the student body here.
So this is your second year here. Did you do anything with the student association the first year, volunteer work, and
Yes, I actually did.
okay.
I was the VP of Finance last year on council. So this is actually my second year with the Students Association.
Have you been a part of past events as well, either assisting in the planning, obviously with the financial stuff, participating in any other ways?
Yes, I was being a part of the executive council. I was actively involved in the planning of all the events that took place last year, ensuring that we were on par with our budgets and actually meeting the needs of our students. You know, we're looking forward to actually hosting quite a number of those activities again. I'm sure we might get to it further on in the interview, but we are also looking forward to our Son of the Beach and the Be Queer social that are coming up next year.
Okay, awesome. What is Assiniboine Community College Student Association, and what does it do for ACC?
Okay, the Assiniboine Community College Students Association is here as the voice of the students on campus. As a part of our mandate, we are here to encourage success through enhancing the student life experience of all our students, as well as making sure that they have the best of experience as a student here on the college.
Okay. So that fits the entire community, including the LGBTQ.
Everybody.
Yes, everybody.
Everybody.
All right. And so what events, other activities, and programs like Safe Spaces have ACC's Student Association done to help spread the awareness for LGBTQ rights and
Right now, the Students Association is actually working with the college on the accessibility project that is going on, and that a part of that project is ensuring that we create gender inclusive bathrooms and spaces for our LGBTQ group here on campus, across campuses. We have our staff trained and certified as allies of the LGBTQ community. Our offices are also promoted as safe spaces for these students. Additionally, we continue to partner with the BU LGBTQ collective in hosting our Be Queer Social, this year being our second year for that event. And this will actually be taking place on September the 15th of this year.
Okay. I was going to ask you just a little bit later, was going to be if you were working with the BU's LGBTQ group,
Yeah.
and that obviously. Yes. So can you elaborate more on what the Be Queer event is going to entail? Like what the event will be doing, and
For sure.
can people volunteer for it, and how do you participate?
Okay, as I mentioned before, it's actually a partnership with the BU LGBTQ collective, and the event will start off with a bingo and a button spot dinner, right? And this is all going to be taking place at Houston's. That event will then be followed by the actual social, which starts at 10 p.m. We are actually having guests come in from Winnipeg, and a special drag queen from RuPaul's show, I believe her name is Stacey Lane, that is actually going to be participating in that. So we are expecting a great evening of fun, having our guests from Winnipeg, the Sunshine Girls, as well as Stacey Lane. So we're just inviting everyone to come out. If we have persons that are willing to volunteer, they can, of course, reach out to either ourselves or the BU collective, and we'll make it work.
And so with the Be Queer event, and that you also have do you have any other sort of sponsors that are coming with you into that? Not just the BU's collective, but also like Cirque, and that, as well as you mentioned the Sunshine Girls and RuPaul's Stacey Lane coming in, and that. Do you have Cirque involved as well, or do you have any other people helping out?
We do have. We have reached out to quite a few members of the community, and they are willing to partner with us in this, or at least sponsor us on getting this event underway. We have not yet confirmed all our sponsors, so I don't want to just pick any one person out, right? But for sure, we do have great support from Houston's. It's at their club, and we're looking to confirm our other sponsors that are coming in this year.
And as mentioned earlier, you're working together with BU's collective in doing the Be Queer event. And that, are there any other plans, like any other events that maybe the BU collective and you would be working on, maybe in the future? Maybe this would be the start of more, because last year you obviously done it too.
Yeah, we have not yet confirmed on any other partnerships beyond Be Queer,
Yeah.
but we do take pride in the Be Queer and look forward to having more partnerships with them, because I think this is a great initiative, right? However, from Assiniboine Community College Students Association point of view, we are still looking to actually get representation on campus for the LGBTQ community. Again, that's still a work in progress, but it's something we're looking into getting done. And we also intend on getting our students trained as well for the Ally certification.
So not only just the Be Queer event, are there any other sort of LGBTQ, TTQ events that ACC will also be holding as well? Is the Be Queer just the really big one? I noticed that you also guys did a Spirit Week earlier last month? Or when is the Spirit Week happening?
I don't know if us actually having like a Spirit Week that is centered around the LGBTQ community, but we have been pushing for them to actually come forward and start a club, right? We've been pushing for that for quite a while. We're hoping that this year will be a better year for the club. And through the clubs, we can actually have events that are more geared towards that community and whatever it is that they want to see actually happen on campus. We do have our multicultural week as well as other themes coming along this year that will open the room for representation for them. Like, what do you want to see happening on campus? Again, hopefully the club will actually get more traction and can push for more of these events to happen.
You're mentioning the club and I heard that that you guys have either are looking for or found a coordinator or representative for LGBTQ.
No, we have not yet done so. We're working on getting that done. Our staff is trained to accommodate this demographic. However, we're still in the process of getting them represented on council so that their voice can be heard and whatever initiative they have can be looked into and so on.
Have I missed anything that you were wishing to discuss about, like events or activities or programs or anything like that I haven't brought up that you wish to discuss or even mention?
Our biggest event is the Be Queer. And again, just to reiterate, this will be held at the beginning of the school year on Friday, September the 15th at Houston's. We'll have our tickets available soon. You can call in, get your tickets, sooner the better, right? It's a great turnout, and we look forward to having everyone from the community, not just our students, to actually come out and support this group in our community.
I want to thank Annalisa and the Student Association for providing the opportunity to speak with them. Back to you, Jan.
That was out host Dakota Bickelmeyer presenting his interview with Annalisa Parkinson, president of ACC Student Association. I hope you have enjoyed these past two episodes highlighting the organizing efforts of both the BU LGBTQ Collective and the ACC Student Association for queer students and the general LGBT2SQ community in Brandon and Westman. I am your host, Jan Eck, and you have been listening to Out on CJ 106 FM.